I had to bring this article up because in recent weeks we've been talking about even math being infested with racist indoctrination. And some people, especially those outside the US or even those in the US that don't have kids, they don't know how bad the indoctrination is in our public indoctrination system. Keep in mind that as we go through this article, the subject we're talking about is math. Keep that in the back of your head as you see the garbage that these kids were forced to put up with. A Missouri school district math assignment is mind-boggling. Christina Pushaw, Governor Ron DeSantis' press secretary, is an extremely effective communicator, unlike me. For example, on Saturday, Pushaw managed to cut through the smog of lies that the Democrats used to claim they're not teaching racism in America's schools. She did this by publishing incredibly foul race-based, quote-unquote, math homework that is on the curriculum in Missouri public schools. Ever since the conservative Americans discovered, mostly thanks to the Zoom classrooms, that Fauci's lockdowns forced on American schools. So there is a silver lining. All that BS we had to put up with. Now parents were forced to come to terms with what was being done to their kids. That their children were being taught racism precepts like blacks are victims, whites are evil. The Dems have been denying that racism exists in schools. They must, because as Glenn Youngkin's election victory in Virginia showed, parents, both black and white, don't like having their children taught such an awful message. And thanks to the pandemic, thanks to the lockdowns, the parents know. Ron DeSantis is fighting the toxic material leftists are inserting into children's indoctrination, whether it's the fiction of transgenderism or racism. On Saturday, a Democratic Florida state representative sounded a hysterical note about the changes DeSantis is making. Yeah. DeSantis is hysterically pulling math books out of Florida schools, claiming they indoctrinate kids with racism. This isn't just crazy right-wing pandering. Next, they'll spend millions of tax dollars forcing schools to buy math books from GOP campaign donors. Yep, this is how the Democrats are spinning it. And then they got smacked down. Pushaw alleged that this hysteria was a series of twats showing the kind of race-based math that some teachers are inserting into their classrooms. Although the math problems in the first twat appear to be something a KKK teacher would push on his acolytes, they are actually questions intended to force upon students the details of Maya Angelou's life, all in a racist framework. So this is math homework from a public school district in Missouri. How does this help kids learn algebra? Exactly. No wonder China is winning. See, she's smart. She knows what's up. So let's take a look at this. Y equals x plus 2. 3x plus 6y equals 12. Angelou was sexually abused by her mother's... Yeah, if you put, I guess the 0, 2, that's the values of x and y. Boyfriend at age 8, which shaped her career choices and motivation for writing. Look at the screen. I'm not making this up. This is what they're indoctrinating your kids into. This is supposed to be math. And they're finding ways to make it about everything but math. And next, trying to support her son as a single mother, she worked as a pimp, prostitute, and bookie, drug dealer, or nightclub dancer. Now, other than them making this about more than just the math, you realize that they're teaching the kids to cheat? So the kids that are bad at math, instead of studying math, they can instead study Maya Angelou's life. And then when they get to the multiple choice, it's like, oh yeah, I know which one this is. They don't even have to do the math. They could just pick the answer based on what fills in the blank. If they studied up, if they did their social studies instead of their math studying. They implemented into the system a perfectly legit way to cheat. And then, what do you think these cheaters are ever actually going to learn the math? Hell no. When Pushaw got pushback from people claiming the assignment was fake, she followed up with the entire page of schoolwork, along with a letter from Mark S. Penny, who has an ed, just like Jill Biden's, the school superintendent, apologizing for the material's inclusion in the classroom. Those who are saying it's fake need a reality check on what kind of content is being promoted in schools nowadays. Yeah, I feel for her. I really do, man. Because I've been in the same position, like trying to explain to an old coworker about like the various problems with men's rights. Like he just refused to believe it. I talked about this when Tug was on, like how I knew a guy who used to be a pretty well-paid engineer, and then he got divorced, and then he lost his job, and he couldn't get another one. But the courts refused to lower his child support payments. So he had to get two full-time jobs paying way less just so he can make his child support payments and have a little bit left over to maybe cover his own bills. And I just recounted that story to this coworker, and he's like, "Oh, that's just because he's a moron. All he has to do is go to the court and file some paperwork." That is what we're facing. Just straight up ignorant people that like you show this to them, like you show them the proof, and they're like, "Oh, that's fake. There's no way that's real." And they're not. It's not like they're malicious and they're trying to cover for it. They just legitimately are ignorant. It's like, "Oh, there's no way that can actually be real." And then you show them the proof, and they still refuse to believe it. Yeah, so instead of having hissy fits because DeSantis banned racism math textbooks, ask yourself why racism is being injected in math instruction to begin with. I promise you, in China, kids aren't learning about pimping in math class. Now, if they actually taught the kids to pimp instead of teaching them about pimps, that could teach some very useful skills, man. Pimping ain't easy. In fact, this math assignment has shown up in multiple classrooms that have leftist teachers in charge. Some of the people trying to oppose Pushaw's point focused on the fact that Pushaw was wrong about the Missouri classroom venue. Thus, one commenter said it came from a teacher in Pennsylvania in current year -5, not Missouri in current year. So does that make it better? Another person contended the assignment isn't teaching racism, though it's inserting the kind of harshly racial material into a classroom could only be racism. Yeah, this is funny too. This was given to ninth graders. What's the problem? Is real history too harsh of a reality to be properly taught? Now, see, this is how you can spot a true galaxy brain right here. Like, what's the problem with giving kids a shortcut and letting them know they can skip learning math if they just learn social studies and history instead? What's the problem with that? What's the problem with giving them a shortcut in math class so they never even have to learn the math? I can't see anything wrong with that. Sure, let's do it, man. I don't think this is a debate the left can win, except maybe on Twitter. Well, that's because they ban you for opposing them. And this is why I say just block and mute them. Don't even interact with them. You don't have a conversation with these people. As soon as you try to talk to them, they'll report you and get you banned. So just block them. Don't even interact with them. They're not interested in talking. They when they say talk, they want to talk at you, and you're gonna listen. If you object to anything they say, you're an istophobe or something. In the real world, parents don't want their children to be marinated in a toxic stew of race hatred and sexual abnormalities. It's warriors like DeSantis and Pushaw who are leading the way in the battle. By the way, did you know that DeSantis' surname can be translated to mean the saintly or the chosen saint? It can, but now we're getting into like the God Emperor Orange Man territory, which while the memes are funny, it doesn't really win you over any favors. Oh man, our system relies on math. Oh, you mean the system they're trying to intentionally collapse to replace with their system? Oh man, why would they want to be getting rid of it? I wonder. Yeah, this is a real Scooby-Doo mystery right here, isn't it?